Car sex. I drive a tiny smart car. I was eating her ass because I thought she liked. She was letting me eat her ass because she thought I liked it. Actually took like 2 years to figure out. Biting. Normally I am more than happy with that. But he would do so unexpectedly, no warning, and hard enough that it would bruise or break skin. Oh, and he would do like a shark, shaking his head back and forth hard. And in usually the most sensitive places. That takes the fun out of it, and set me on edge so much that I couldn't get off, because I was always ready for the next bite. He absolutely loved it when people washed dishes. I wish I was kidding, but it got him sprung to watch me do dishes. He also worked in a dish room at a local college, which was uncomfortable. One of my exes liked me to slap and tug on his balls. It didn't do much for me, and honestly for the first 6 months I was too afraid to do much to them. She wanted to be woken up with sex, but it did nothing for me because she always woke up first. I had this girlfriend for about 5 or 6 months, and when it finally came down to it to hop in the bedroom, she did something absolutely crazy in my mind at least. Sorry to other people that are into this kind thing, it was in the middle of foreplay, and she was about to get on top of me, and she reaches over into the nightstand by the bed and pulls out a loaded gun and told me to put it against her head while she rode me. I've never noped the fuck out quicker in my life. I once dated a guy that told me he had a thing for waterboarding. As in, he had waterboarded his exes, with their consent. That's a nope from me, brah. I once dated a guy that wouldn't let me make a sound we fuck in silence. She would absolutely quiver about having her eyes licked. I didn't know that oculolinctus was a thing until I dated her. She was really into gay porn, like, to the point of running a Tumblr blog about gay hentai when such content was allowed on there. She had once expressed a desire to see me either fuck a guy in the ass or be fucked in the ass by a guy for her enjoyment. So I guess she was technically a coquette? LOL, just realizing that now. Made myself laugh. She was really into older men like 40 to 50, we were 20. Ex used to really get off on me fucking other girls. She worked away a lot, so when she came back she'd ride the fuck out of me if she smelled a woman's perfume on my clothes, or found some panties that weren't hers. She had me fuck her best friend, and I'm not going to lie and say the sex wasn't great, but it was super weird. We dated for a few months after the best friend fuck, but she broke up with me, because she found out I had been buying thongs and perfume, so I didn't have to cheat on her. My ex would always painfully squeeze my nuts right after a blowjob. When I screamed she would just look at me and say you're welcome. She thought she was being kinky. All it did was give me an irrational fear of getting a BJ ever again. Edit. Wow, I did not expect anyone to read this. Thank you everyone for the upvotes. Edit X2, for those wondering why I didn't tell her to stop. I did tell her, several times, but she refused to listen because she thought it was hot. She was legit crazy. When I finally broke up with her she got so upset that she threw up, started banging her head against the wall, and started clawing at her arms until they bled, surprised face. Meanwhile, everyone with weird fetishes just scrolling to see if they get called out. I had an ex-FWB who got really turned on by being vomited on during blowjobs. It's so messy, and also I gotta say personally, throwing up doesn't ever get me in the mood for anything but a shower and some mouthwash. One ex was really into the idea of being slapped hard, being forced to do anal, hair pulled, etc. Just really rough stuff. Like, when I'd try to be a gentleman about anal, lube, take it slow, wait for her cues, she'd be like, fuck that. She wanted to ram it in there fast and hard and force her to take it while she screamed and cried. As a porn fantasy, okay, it's kind of dark and disturbing, but it's fantasy. In real life, it's horrifying. I did it for her and it was good, I finished and all. For a while anyways. Eventually it really fucked me up mentally and emotionally. She'd tell me not to do it anymore, but then beg me. She also wanted me to choke her unconscious, and then fuck her. I tried to do that too, but I could never go through with it. She'd always be disappointed when I couldn't do it. She had a heart condition too, so I was really fucking nervous about accidentally killing her. Around that time, I started to learn that limits were not just for submissives, but also for dominants. To this day, it still really messes me up. My wife and I began our relationship with kink, though definitely not as severe. But it just kept reminding me of my ex's violent desires, and I just don't want to feel that anymore. Always trust your own personal boundaries, people. My ex had a fetish for calling me mommy, but it made me super uncomfortable, and was a factor in our breakup. Guy I dated tried to put his big toe in me. Typing this is giving me cold chills all over again. Needless to say, I declined and didn't see him again. Tearing up her clothes, forcefully hold her down bent over or chokehold, and explain to her how lucky she was to receive my seed. It grows stale after a while. Not my ex, but my current long-term relationship. We were roughhousing in a hotel room with some friends. I got caught up in the moment and spat in her mouth. She was super into it. I was not. I want to die every time I think about it. He loved to fuck tits and it did not do shit for me, but he loved it so I let him, because at least someone enjoyed my boobs, lol. A guy I dated had a foot fetish. He was obsessed with my feet. He bought me socks and would want me to text him what shoes I was wearing and such. I take good care of my feet, so I could understand the like. At first, I found it interesting as I hadn't dated anyone with this fetish. I let him lick and suck my toes a few times, seeing if I liked it. It tickled, did not find it sexy. That's when I decided, not for me. Really nice guy. He liked the idea of fooling around in public and almost getting caught. I like being in my apartment or hotels or places that it's totally normal and acceptable to bang. The anxiety of almost getting caught was a turnoff to me. She liked to baby talk to my dick and blow on it while never on our whole relationship jacking me off or giving me head. I don't know if that was her kink, but yeah, it's not a turn on when someone starts talking to my penis and never actually does anything with it, lol. I had a woman just stare at me the whole time. Don't get me wrong, I like some eye contact here and there. Makes it a bit erotic. But the whole time. The whole 5 minutes. Haha, not that short, but seriously. The entire time we would have sex, she would stare into my soul like she lost her earring in my brain. Being throat fucked until I vomited. Edit. I consented 100%. This is not a story of abuse, lol. We just discovered he had a vomit fetish. I once had a guy that asked me to wear my work uniform. I worked at McDonald's at the time, back when we wore clunky polyester. Edit. Don't be up in my DMs about this anymore. I'm not gonna be McLovin on you. Go to horny jail. Edit X2, thank you for the gold. Just like golden fries. And other things. My ex happened to have a fetish for transformation. Primarily weird ones though, not like werewolves or anything, but people turning into cars and shit like that. Definitely not something that you can do anything with. She loved to be spanked over my knee while she orgasmed. Was okay. Didn't know any other women into that. Calling him daddy while he called me a slut. I was never comfortable with it. I know some people are into this, and I'm not judging, but I was incredibly young and naive, and just not into it. Also, he got turned on when I cried, so you guys can figure out how that would be a problem. Edited to add, I totally understand comfort boners. Like if I'm feeling vulnerable and opening up to a guy while cuddling, I can totally understand a boner. But this guy admitted that me crying was a turn on, and it got to the point that he started fights so that I would cry. She had a fetish for blood. No joke. She gets turned on at the sight of blood. One time I badly scraped my knee, told her about it, and she asked me to send a pic. The next reply, she said she was soaking wet. Good thing I broke up with her before we could have sex. I don't want to be excreting both blood and semen at the same time. My ex had a mud fetish, like, when he was younger would go into like a bog and have sex with the mud. Where we lived, we didn't have any bogs as adults, so he made enough chocolate pudding to fill the tub. He had me lay in the tub while he poured the pudding all over me and filled the tub almost all the way up. He then got on top of me, and we had sex. It wasn't bad really, the cleanup was a nightmare, but the problem was I ended up getting a UTI from it, so I didn't let him do it again after that. Me and my boyfriend love each other very much, which means I will squish his head between my thighs for him, and he will piss for me. God, why am I sharing this with people on Reddit? Just lying there like a starfish. Public sex and gangbang. Both of these are so humiliating for me, and just the fact that he would sometimes try to convince me to have sex in a very public place or have foursomes with only men was gross and scary. Glad this is over. My ex-fiancé had a giant fetish. Literally, he fetishized giants. He refused to ever be on top, had me stand on the bed and walk around, so I looked extra tall, and asked me to tell him how small and puny he was and how big and giant I was while I rode him. He liked it when I said I was taller than buildings and trees, like hundreds of feet tall. He even would ask me to say fee fi fo fum like the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk. I hated all of it, but it was the only way he wanted to have sex, so I put up with it for 3 years. Definitely super glad I don't have to do it for the rest of my life. She really wanted me to know what penetration feels like and wanted to peg me. I just didn't have the courage to lay down and get piped. Always keeps me up at night. What does it actually feel like? I mean, I put my finger up my ass, but never had someone ram something into my ass. She wanted me to slap her during sex. I just wasn't down for it. She liked being choked too. I did on occasion, but I just didn't feel comfortable doing. One time she wanted me to hold a knife to her throat. I definitely wasn't going to do that one. My ex wanted me to starfish. For those that don't know what sex move that is, it's when a woman lays prone and doesn't make any noise or movement during sexual happy fun times. I tried spicing it up and calling it the doll, but honestly it was so boring and difficult. I like getting into it, touching and kissing my partner, and I can get vocal when I'm enjoying myself, but I felt pressure to tone it down to subarctic levels, and that really turned me off. Bonus, he would also ask me to stick my tongue out like the girls in hentai videos. Needless to say, he's seeing a lot less of my tongue these days.